Hey guys, and welcome back. My name is Ryan Sully, and I'm here to host the fourth day of the AE Scripts Summer Sales. We have had 3 other really great streams earlier in the week, and we've been going over all the different plugins that you can get during the Cyber Week sale. AE Scripts has their Cyber Week sale, which means you can get up to 25%, and by up to, I mean that's what you get. It's 25% off site-wide with a few exceptions. Use the code CYBER when you check out to make sure you get that 25% off. I'm going to go ahead and play the promo for you, and then we will be able to kind of kick things off. Or maybe I don't even have the promo. I do have this, though.
Huge savings.
Well, it's really exciting. We have Lloyd back today. Lloyd is the creator and founder of AE Scripts. He is here to help us out and talk through all things plugins. So please help me out and welcome in Lloyd. Hey, Lloyd, welcome back.
How's it going?
Going great. I got a Santa Claus shirt on.
Starting to, yeah, it is December now officially. So it's
starting. It's happening. Yeah. A big hello to Brandon and Maper in the chat. Welcome back, you guys. It's good to have you. And hello to everybody over on Behance. If you are watching on YouTube or Behance, we are so happy to have you guys here. And we got a lot of really cool stuff to go over today. Today on the show, we have Brenton Brander, Illumi Design, and Steve Lewis all queued up for you guys. and we're really excited to go through them. But before we do that, we do want to go through a few other plugins that are on sale. Everything on the site is on sale with 25% off with a few exceptions. But here are a few of my favorites. One that I really want to highlight is Deep Glow, and that is from Plugin Everything. And I use this plugin all the time. Like, so much so that Annika normally calls me out and she's like, "You're using Deep Glow again?" But it's wonderful.
Deep Glow is a GPU accelerated plugin that gives you the most beautiful results with minimal effort. Compare it to AE's default glow and there's no competition. Features include a variable aspect ratio, gamma correction so your results are always correct regardless of color space, chromatic aberration for adding extra color, and intuitive compositing controls to assist in achieving the perfect glow. It's GPU accelerated for maximum speed and features handy downsampling and quality controls which can also be leveraged to achieve stylized results. Also great for compositing CG renders. Deep Glow works at all bit depths, CS6 and up on Windows and Mac. Available now at aescripts.com.
But yeah, no, it's got that 80s vibes if you want to have some 80s glow.
Well, no, just the promo has the 80s vibe. The secret, the reason Deep Glow looks awesome is because it does realistic glow. One of the things about After Effects is that it works in 8-bit or 16-bit, which are a limited number of colors, but real light, like the sun, for example, is many degrees of whiteness brighter than just regular white. And you need to work in 32-bit, which is called float, to be able to accommodate for those values. Basically above 1 is how it's considered in math. The other ones are just 0 to 1. And so what's cool about Deep Glow is it does all of that really complicated math and compositing for you. You just slap it on and you essentially get a 32-bit realistic, with realistic light fall off glow on anything. And that's what makes it awesome and different than your average just normal glow that you would do yourself or put on.
Yeah, and Brandon's calling out that normally, and to get even somewhat similar effect, it says Deep Glow keeps you from having to duplicate the AE glow effect 50 times.
And even that's not a real glow, because all that you're getting when you're duplicating the normal glow is you're getting an add. So yeah, you're getting more white by adding, but you're not getting the same fall off. So it's not even that.
There's really no comparison. And it's cool because in the demo video, they also even show side by side of like, this is what you get on just regular glow, and this is what you get with Deep Glow. And I can attest to the fact that, yeah, no, it makes a huge difference. I worked over the summer on a Illumination Night campaign, and it was for this glowing art series, and I used it for all of the promos, and it was wonderful. Speaking of things that I've used recently, I also wanted to highlight Body Movin', which is name your own price, but since you're over on the site, want to load up your cart, Body Movin' is really great for exporting as Lottie files. So that way you can import them straight into your websites. I recently used it on a campaign with Annika's in the Vans chat. Oh my God, Deep Glow is Ryan's favorite plugin. So yeah, I told you she calls me out on it.
No shame in that game.
No wrong in it. But yeah, here's the promo for Body Movin'. It's really wonderful. I know a lot of different artists that use it. Like I said, it's name your own price. But while you're over on the site, it helps to load up your shopping cart. Extremely useful and extremely lightweight.
Well, and it's the future, right? It essentially it lets you export your After Effects animations as code that's rendered as vectors in the browser. So that's super lightweight to have really amazing animations that are resolution independent. So you can resize them to any size that you need. It's also worth mentioning that Body Movement is actually an open source project, and if you buy it as a name your own price, you are helping Hernan, the creator of Body Moving, support that project. He actually invented this whole thing, and Lottie was something that came about because the Airbnb app people were actually looking to improve the animations in their app, and they came across Body Moving, and so they then created the Lottie player, which is just a player, and then it's kind of gone from there. And other people have taken that whole Lottie, they've borrowed, because it's open source, people can use it however they want. But Body Moving is the originator, and he is still very, very much involved in this whole in that whole community, including all of the Lottie development. So if you want to support Hernan, you really should do the name your own price. And it is a game changer if you do web animate, if you do any kind of web development and you are not using Lottie files, you should totally check out Body Moving. It's just it's literally the future. So
also, if you're not the one doing the web development, it's still really easy to use. I don't have familiarity with development and coding, but a few weeks ago I was working with a developer and we were over Slack, and all I had to do was I had to export it, and then I copied the code and I would paste the code into Slack. I didn't transfer any files. All I did was transfer the code. And he would take it and he put it in. And then in the website, it was cool because then my animation would animate as you scrolled down. So like as you went down the page, it moved. And then if you like scrolled back up, it would reverse. And it was really helpful and it was really easy. Too easy, honestly. I thought I didn't do it right the first time because it was so easy. I'm like, this can't be it. Phil says I use Body Movement for HTML5 banners all the time. Yes, we're definitely in a renaissance of HTML and what is built into the site and what is like outsourcing to other things. And HTML5 is really cool because it's letting us animators really add some cool stuff to websites, which wasn't heard of 10 years ago. So without Flash or something else.
While it's worth noting that the cyber discount will actually apply to name your own price tools, that's more like a donation. So you should just enter whatever price that you wanna donate towards the project.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I have one more that I want to highlight right before we bring in Brenton. And it is called K-Bar. We talked a little bit about it yesterday. It's a very popular plugin. It is basically your little toolbar, and there's a lot of other plugins like PenPal that we looked at yesterday that have integration to it so that you can then help customize it and you can make it your own. So check it out. Digging through menus, everyone's worst nightmare. I know Lloyd and I talk about it a lot, and the idea of you get these tools, you have your hourly rate or your day rate, however you work with it. But if you can do it faster with a plugin, you can still charge for that same amount. It's just your life's a little bit easier, so you don't have to go in there and waste 5 minutes getting to something that you could otherwise just have in a quick toolbar, which is cool.
And it's a super customizable toolbar, so you can use it to just launch other scripts. You can use it to launch scriptlets. So if you actually find some script code, you can copy and paste it right into a button. You don't even need to save it into a file. You can have it launch effects. You can have it do menu commands. you can have it do so much stuff. It actually comes from the 3D world, because 3D has always been a little bit more of an intense user interface with way many more options. And so this idea of a customizable toolbar was always handy, because you could have your animation toolbar or your modeling toolbar. So in After Effects, you can do the same thing. You can have your design toolbar or your animation toolbar or your rotoscoping toolbar. And Kbar actually supports multiple toolbars. So yeah, check it out.
Yeah, and it's from Crafty FX. That's Crafty with a K. And I put the link in both of the chats, both on Behance and on YouTube. So check it out. Sorry if you can hear New York out my way.
And by the way, Kbar is also a beautiful CEP panel. So it's like really nice drag and drop. And it's a really slick interface.
All right, so first up we have Brenton Brander. He's from the Santa Barbara area. He's a motion designer, product designer, and focuses in automation. He works at LinkedIn, if you guys ever heard of that before. And he was actually on the show over the summer too, and he creates some really great stuff. He's really passionate about what he's making, and I'm excited to show you guys what he's all about. And just to introduce him, let's play his reel. All right, and so it's my pleasure to bring on Brenton. How's it going?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
It's going great. Thank you for taking time to come on the show. I know that you were on earlier, and we had a really great time, so hopefully we can replicate that.
Definitely.
No pressure.
No pressure, but you already set the bar kind of high. You have to reach that point again.
Yeah, your guys' stream made it on my listings for some of my scripts.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah, I posted the link to it.
Oh, nice. Nailing it. Thank you so much. But yeah, you want to just introduce yourself a little bit and how you got into the programming world, and then we can start talking about Keyfast.
Yeah. Well, my name is Brenton Brander. Yeah, I live in like Santa Barbara area right now. Let's see, I do motion graphics and automation work, a lot of it for tech companies. And I got into automation largely because I saw like a problem that I wanted to solve in After Effects, and also just because at the time I was really interested in creating tools that I could donate profits to like nonprofits that I like, and to make that process a little bit less painful, because I know it's always hard to give up your money, or at least it is for me. I decided that if I make tools to sell and then I give away that money, then it doesn't feel as painful. So yeah, the first product I created was Keyfast, and that was largely motivated so that I could donate it.
All right, well, let's check it out.
Friendship ceases from now on. Please
We have a question in the chat for you, actually. Brandon says, which nonprofit do you support?
Ooh, a lot of them. I was liking kiva.org, I think is their website at first. They do microloans, so your money gets relent over and over and over to multiple people, which is really cool. And then during some of the like refugee crises, a lot of the money went to that. And then when COVID first started, to like food for kids who weren't able to go to school anymore. So kind of a lot of different things, but I try to target like essential needs like food, housing, things like that.
That's fantastic. And so the profits to it are still benefiting different nonprofits, right?
Yeah, the first 1,000 sales, like that was 100% of that was donated. And now I don't donate 100%, but I do donate a percentage of that.
Oh, that's fantastic, though. I mean, especially in the season of giving and, you know, December, what have you, it's really good to see. Normally it's $35, but with the 25% off sale, make sure you guys use the code cyber when you're checking out. You can get it for $8 cheaper, or almost $9 cheaper, honestly. And it'll speed up your process and your workflow. I'm assuming that part of it was made just so that you could speed up your own projects. And I really liked seeing like how the scaling and things that you kind of do that are just mind numbing and you just do over and over and over again can really be sped up with KeyFast, which is really nice. Oh, hello to Elise. This is what's up, y'all. I got my copy of KeyFast in August. Highly recommend, probably because of the summer sale that we had. And so it's good to see you back here. Good to have you. Next up, I wanted to talk real quick about Social Beam, which last time we talked was actually brand spanking new. And I kind of want to see how that's been going and how the development has been. But before we do that, let's check out the trailer. We've talked about it before, but I always love the music in all of your demo reels. They're all very swingy and make you want to dance. I know that you have your screen shared. What did you want to do a demo for today?
Yeah, so I figured on the last time I was on here, I did a demo of like KeyFast, and now I was interested in doing like a more in-depth, like power user features of KeyFast. Is it a good time
great?
To do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm hoping you'll be able to see this. Cool, you can. So on KeyFast, you have all your basic, like you have slides where it just like slides into place. You have like scale up animations. You sort of saw in that demo that we just looked at. But if you hover over these buttons, you'll also notice that there's some like hotkey functions as well. And so I'm going to go over some of those useful ones that maybe you don't know about even if you have KeyFast. So starting with trim paths. So if you click the button, it just does a trim path for you. You can do a trim path on and a trim path off. But if you want to change the direction of your path, in this case from left to right, you want it to go the opposite way. You can actually just hover over it, and if you hold Command, then it'll switch the direction of your path.
Oh, so, that's cool.
Yeah.
And so that's just by holding Command and clicking on it. I really like how on there you have the helpful tool tips with also the little modifiers when you hover over the tool as well.
Definitely. Yeah, so just holding Command switches the direction of the path. The next one is the slide button, which has a lot of little handy features. So by default, it slides by a few hundred pixels. You can like change the amount in your settings if you want to be more or less. But one that I use a lot is a lot of the time I just want to slide fully off of screen. So if you hold Shift, it'll just bump it totally off of screen instead of sliding just a few pixels. And then another feature of this slide button is it has two functions that are hotkeys. The shift I always have as an amplifier. So whatever it's doing, if you hold shift, it'll do more of it. But the command is sort of the additional features. So by default, KeyFast will want to slide things onto screen like this. But if you hold command, then it will slide them off instead. So it's really intuitive once you start using it. Usually it does what you want it to do. So for example, right now by default, it slides on. If I click it again a second time, it'll slide off, which is usually what you want. But every once in a while, you'll just want to slide straight off. So
question from Reverb Mike in the chat real quick. He says, how do you keep the KeyFast panel skinny? It keeps getting fatter and squeezes over other panels. So I have to rearrange my panels every time I use AE.
Oh, interesting. I don't know. I just grab this corner right here and shrink it down. Yeah, so it usually plops down pretty big, and then I shrink it down like that.
I do appreciate the vertical use of it. I think that it lands well. I know you can also skinny it up to also make it horizontal as well, but it's helpful to have that kind of, it's just like a little side tool belt because so many are trying to take up other spaces. It fits snugly where it needs to be, which is nice.
Definitely. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Let's see. Another useful feature is if you hold down the option button, when you click on any of these, you can quickly change out your settings. So right now I did it on the slide button, and I could change my slide amount to be a bigger amount if I wanted to, just right here. So it's super fast to just switch it around. You can do the same thing with the easing buttons, ease in, ease out. Cool, so let's see here, moving on. So we have a clone keyframes button in KeyFast, and the clone keys does what it sounds like, it clones them, but sometimes you'll just want to align all keyframes. So if you hold the command key or control on Windows, it'll just line everything up. So that's the clone button. Staggering, so sometimes, like in this case, I decided to stagger these 3 layers using the stagger button here. So I just went boop, boop, boop. But sometimes I'll then place keyframes afterward. Like, let's say I'll scale all these off of screen. But now my keyframes are all aligned. So what do? I can like realign my layers, but now we have a whole issue here. So the Stagger Layers button also has a Stagger Keyframes feature. So if I hold Command, it'll bump over the keyframes I selected. If I hold Shift, Shift will just amplify whatever you're doing. So it'll do it twice as much.
And that's all for the highlighted keyframes only, right?
Exactly, yeah.
That's great.
And then you can change in your settings, you can change the stagger amount. I just have 1 frame. But you can also just hold Option and then change it to a bigger stagger amount right here.
And do you often find yourself changing your settings a lot, or do you mostly set it and forget it when you're working in KeyFast?
Yeah, I mostly set it and forget it.
It's all a lot of preference when it just comes down to kind of how you work and making it to the worst of to the best of your workflow.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's pretty rare at this point that I go into the settings. Everything's pretty dialed in for me. But I don't know, if you're like a really like precise animator, maybe you want to customize your easing values every time, which luckily is pretty easy to do that.
I actually loved your approach to the design, which is like, you know, programmers usually tend to want to leave all the options available, but what you've done is you've made the options available, but you prioritize the UI UX so that, you know, like you said, you set them how you like them, and then it's just clicking the button, and that's what makes you really efficient. So it also is befitting on its name.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Fast. All right, so we do need to move on real quick, but I do want to touch on hover real quick. So I just want to play hover, and you guys can pick it up. Hover on hover, just a quick hover. So here you guys go.
You're doing it wrong. One of the best to ever do it.
is freedom. Waking up in the morning and going to sleep at night, and in between doing exactly what I want to do.
That
Very
sounded like your
inspirational.
voice.
No, it's not. But last stream, Ryan did theorize that maybe I was DJ Quads because I used.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Hayden had just actually mentioned real useful for repetitive motion jobs, and that was in reference to Keyfast. But I think that a going theme for a lot of your developments are all things that would be boring that you kind of just want to get to the fun stuff and get it out of the way. I think hover is a beautiful example of that because no one wants to sit there and have to change all the cursors and whatever. So it's really cool that it has automation where you move it and automatically does the work for you, which is really nice.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, definitely. One of the things of hover is it also saves you a lot of time when you're revising, because normally, if you make something even a second longer, then you're having to move the mouse, change the hover states, move the click layers, move the everything. And so hover makes that whole process a lot easier once you're doing a revision. I think sometimes when I'm working on a project that includes a mouse, I just sort of would suck it up and go the first round through, and it's not that bad until the client comes back and wants a little bit of retiming.
Yep. And so that really just rips the Band-Aid off and makes it so you can do more revisions and you don't have to freak out every single time to then adjust make an entire edit. They're like, it's a 5-second edit. And you're like, yes, it's a 5-second edit. But when you edit this thing, it edits absolutely everything else.
Yes.
So it helps solve that issue. But thank you again for coming on the show again. Make sure you guys check out Brenton's whole page. He also has another one called Rasterfast that we were not able to get to. Next up, we have Brain Dot. But I want to say thank you for coming on. And we look forward to probably talking to you again during the next sale.
That sounds great. Yeah, thank you guys. And thanks for everyone watching.
Thanks, Brenton.
Take it easy. So like I said, up next, we have Brain Dot Design. But before we get to that, I wanted to touch on one other one that we don't have a guest for. And it is in the spirit of not wanting to do really boring things and things that are frustrating. And so this one is called Move Anchor Point. And I assume that you probably know exactly what it does. But it's one of those small features that, you when I first started learning After Effects, I was so frustrated because I couldn't really wrap my mind around why the anchor point would be rendered where it is. And there's some cool tricks that you can do. You can go into your preferences and make it so it's always in the center of a shape. But sometimes you animate things and then you need to move the anchor point and you don't have to go all the way back. And this is a really helpful tool for that. So yeah, pretty self-explanatory.
You would think that the anchor point's a pretty boring part of your After Effects animating, but believe it or not, we have more anchor point tools. We try to avoid having overlapping tools, but in the anchor point world, there's so much you can do, and there's so much workflow preference that we actually have several tools, and each tool kind of specializes in being good at certain parts of working with the anchor points. So yeah. And, ironically, too, these anchor point moving tools usually end up in the top 5 when people list their top 5 or top 10 most used tools. That these anchor point tools always show up there. So yeah, if you're not using it yet, go for it. Let's get
into Danny real quick. Thank you for being patient. I know you're a little strapped on time, but we want to bring in Danny from Brain Dot Design. He's from Berkshire, United Kingdom, and he founded Brain Dot in the September of 2015. Thanks for coming on, and it's great to have you.
Thank you, guys.
So we have two different things that we have for you. We wanted to highlight real quick. We're going to do Verifont and Type Morph. So I'm going to go ahead and play the trailer for Verifont, and then we can talk about it. And I don't know why the audio is not playing. So I can do some like ASMR if you guys want me to do some ASMR. Click, click. Click, click. But I guess since we were actually happening, Danny, do you want to start talking about it just while it plays?
Yeah, well, just introduce since you just show one of my favorite workflow tools. I think it's just worth saying that my tools are actually more effect oriented. Like I basically designed these tools to achieve a specific effect. That it does speed up a lot the workflow, but it doesn't necessarily apply to all the workflows. Very specific.
Absolutely. So, yeah, and it's also cool. It goes along with, I know that like responsive type is something that Illustrator is also starting to embrace a little bit more because of its trendiness, and it's really nice to have something that makes something that is trendy and more accessible, so then you can do it the best possible way. And so I think it's really nice to just be able to have that native support from the plugin inside of After Effects.
Yeah, he brought that to After Effects. That's worth noting. So you couldn't do that.
Yeah, and I see it all the time now. Whereas previously you'd have to like go into the source text and then just change the weight with a bunch of different tiny keyframes, or you'd have to use like a slider control, and it got real messy real quick.
Yeah, it seems like it's it's the future of the type. Having the possibility to work with a variable font. Just to give an introduction to both, touch on both products. They both Type Morph and Verifont achieve the same result, which is transitioning between axes, which can be the weight or the width. The difference is that Type Morph is a simulation of it, and you can apply to any font. You just give it the starting point. You want to start from a thin and finish to a bold. And Type Morph basically is creates the morph for each type, and then gives you a couple of presets, 3 presets to play with. This is because the foundries are not still coming up with variable fonts. I did this first because there was a real need of this sort of tools. I would say you could do it manually. You can do it manually. It takes forever. It takes ages, and you have to like write scripts. And this is gonna it was a huge it sped up so much my workflow once I had to do this, and I say what, I can't be like that. I have to write something, and because I do like typography, it's my interest. I started developing the commercial tool. So I came up with Type Morph first, which can apply, as I said, to any font. You can transition from one, even to 2 different fonts. You can try and do it. Sometimes it doesn't look pretty, but it definitely delivers.
But it's nice to even have that option, honestly, because there are a lot of that typefaces where you wish that they would have variable weights, but it's maybe like a 3-weighted typeface, and you don't really see them updating it in any future plans. And so it's nice to be able to be like, all right, fine, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, having come up with the Type Morph and having had having had good feedback, then I started to look at why After Effects is not is not offering a native support for variable fonts, which were coming along a few years ago, but they were still pretty rare. After Effects actually, I had quick feedback. They couldn't share the roadmap, but they said there is a lot of requests, but they let me understand that I could go ahead. There wasn't any plan for them to integrate to offer the variable font as an option.
But you did it, and you made it happen. So the whole world of motion graphics, thank you for it. I want to go ahead and I want to play the thing for Type Morph real quick, and then we can check it out. Hopefully this one has music. We will see. Very straightforward, very on the head, but gets the point done and makes it all happen. Now you can see over here on the product page, it all works within a panel that you can have, and you can go and you can just click it, and it does it for you. And I'm assuming that you can then go and you can keyframe it individually, right?
Yeah, we can keyframe it. I've also brought the key because basically the algorithm creates a stack of subcomps. Then I also gave the option to keyframe at the top level with the MoGraph module, which was the beginning of it was at its very beginning. So I was fortunate to have it as an option. Otherwise, I couldn't offer the possibility to at the moment the user can use only one layer, the master comp, to keyframe the effect, but only a few versions before I released it wasn't even possible. So that's nice as well. So it's all keyframeable. It's all, you can animate and keyframe it. You can move it. It's quite dynamic. And what you're showing now is a pretty cool feature, I think, because sometimes the algorithm gets stuck or can deliver, and I offer the built-in support tool that actually is very quick. So if you happen to have a character that doesn't morph properly, you just have to export it, send me the zip file. I will fix it within like 15 minutes normally, and send it back. When I send you another zip which you have to import, and that's it. Once imported, you have it fixed, and it's a way for me to extend the support, because I noticed in doing testing there was 5 to 10% of morphs that had a little glitch, and most of the time users don't even realize it. But I was I'm a perfectionist, and I was into offering this option.
I mean, you're a type guy. Type guys are always perfectionists. That's all part of the profession. By the way, Ali's over on YouTube said a really dumb joke. He said very cool, but he spelled very like variable. And so I just want to call it out and say it's great, but it's also dumb. So
I also wanted to say that there's a really cool artist on Instagram called Kicken. I'll put the link in the chats. That does he uses Verifont and puts out really dope animated posters, basically. So he does posters that look really cool, and then he morphs it into another sort of arrangement, and usually changes the font using a variable font. And it's
I see a lot of those now, which is really cool. It's definitely like an industry like renaissance of type in motion. Before you could move it around. Right,
Say again, Lloyd. Sorry.
It's the next frontier of type design, really, because
I hope so. I mean, it does give you a lot more options, and I'd be happy to see more foundries delivering this option, because at the moment it still feel pretty niche. And I must say, you would be surprised to know how many of After Effects users, my customers, come and say, basically they don't know what's a variable font, and they go like, how can I make it variable? It's I think even there is a layer of miseducation in terms of what's a variable font, and is it something that is given by the designer, or it's something that the software itself offers as a built-in like a feater. Most of the time they buy they don't have a variable font, and you have to just give them the overview.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's where type morph comes in.
In the chat, they're asking if body moving is compatible with it. I guess it would be compatible with type morph, right?
Yeah, it would. It hasn't been tested thoroughly, so at the moment I'm not supporting it, but this is the plan in the next months.
Sweet,
fantastic. Yeah, because it is something that I'm also starting to see in very artsy websites, but it is something that is starting to show up on the internet as well. And yeah, to your guys' point, I think it's just going to become more and more commonplace, and having tools like this make it a lot easier. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for being on the show. We appreciate you. And we appreciate the products you have. It's
my
very
pleasure.
late.
I just want to a quick shout out to my partner in crime. It's the developer that is behind one of the two. It's Verifont, and it's a great, the best developer you can possibly have with you, and it's Toby. Thank you, Toby.
Yes.
Thank you, Toby. And then where can we find you or Toby on your socials? Do you update a lot on to Twitter or Instagram or anything?
Yeah, Instagram is we have BrainDot, we have page for Verifont and TypeMorph.
Oh, awesome! So make sure you guys go ahead and follow. All of it is BrainDot.design on Instagram, right?
Yes.
Or is it just BrainDot? Cool. All right. Well, I'll post that in the chat. And thank you again for coming on. We really appreciate it, and we hope to talk again soon.
Thanks very much.
Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye. All right. So next up, we have Oliver from Illumi Design, and he's from Bavaria, Germany, and he's got Patoon 2.0, which we're going to be talking about. And it's a pleasure to bring him on. So here he is. Hey, Oliver, how's it going?
Hi, Ryan. I'm fine. Greetings from Germany. Hi, Lloyd.
Hi,
and,
how are you?
Yeah, from my side to my developer Toby, also the best wishes.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah,
I didn't even realize we backed it up back to back.
Toby works with a lot of parts of AE scripts. He's the man.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, that's a cool transition. And if you guys like the development of Verifont and Type Morph, then you're gonna like Patoon as well. I'm gonna go ahead and play it, and then we can talk a little bit about it. All right, you guys know I'm a big fan of destroying videos and glitching out when I can. We had Datamosh on earlier in the week, and in some cases, this reminds me a lot of Datamosh. In other ways, it really feels like it separates it and doesn't require as much. I really like being able to take texture and having that seep through into different videos, which is really cool. And obviously, it's much more powerful than just that, but that's something that really sticks out to me. So what kind of made you inspired to create this, and what do you use it for?
Yeah, it was the original thing why I like to have Platoon was I come from the 3D world, and normally on each geometry you can simply apply textures, and in After Effects you don't have the option to apply textures, so you always have to import textures into your project. You got a lot of textures for backgrounds, whatever, in your project, and so I'd like to have a tool where I can apply textures. So that was the basic idea of creating Platoon. And then we come over to see what is possible if you have textures. And if you are from the 3D world, you know bump maps, you know displacement maps, and you know how powerful black and white images could be. That was the point on version 1.5, where we tried to put this displacement function and this glitch function into black and white images, where you can swap them in your project. You can try different styles without having import all these textures again. So you can build up your own texture library and have it always inside of After Effects. And one cool feature is you can use the Adobe Capture app and take photos from your environment and have them directly synchronized into After Effects. You don't have to import them. They're in your media cloud library, and you have access to that.
That's a great call out, actually, in general, to that app. It's really, really great. It's cool, and it kind of feels like magic because it works so fast. But yeah, you can just take your camera and you can just import it straight into what you're working on, as long as you have it linked to your Creative Cloud.
Yes, and I sorry?
No, go ahead.
I put out my old records, and you can take a very cool texture from your old records, and yeah, I just try to do some fancy stuff with that.
That's cool reference material.
And I was going to say the true power here is this concept of being able to apply texture. So in After Effects, you know how you can put an effect on a layer, and it's literally just like, we'll say like a fill to add a solid color. It's just one effect on, you have the one layer. It's very simple, it's very clean. But like as Ali was saying, if you wanted it to be a texture, you had to like do all of these steps. You have to import the texture, add a second layer, somehow do a compositing procedure to get the layer to be on the other layer and attach and move and stuff. Whereas with Platoon, you just put it one effect, all your entire texture library is there, including being able to add textures on the fly from like he was explaining, your camera, and have it just be there as one effect on your layer. Super clean, super easy. All of this glitching and all of this stuff is stuff built up on top of that, but it's important to call out the tremendous power of the core concept of it, which is why it's in the title. It's a texture plugin, because that is ironically very difficult to do in After Effects. And this is a super elegant solution.
And also just having a library that you can easily switch it out. Like, it's not like you have to commit to a texture and then go, and then if you have to switch it out, you'd have to go all the way from the beginning. This just lets you just click and you can switch it out for something else in your library, which is really nice.
Right. You have instant access to all of your bitmaps you imported once, and you have it always there. So that's a huge time saver for me.
Absolutely. Across projects. So I see that you have... Say again, Lloyd?
That you have your texture library across projects. So in After Effects, everything is very much project oriented. Right. But if you're a designer and you have a certain library of textures that you like working with, because you can use textures for lots of things. You can use textures to just add like grit or grain or things, and that you use on every project. And so with Platoon, you can have that with you kind of all the time.
Right. You don't have to import it every time you have your basic texture set. I have, for example, I have some grunge textures I use often. I have carbon textures, metal textures for backgrounds, whatever. So I have that always stuck in every project. I have it always there.
And Reverb Mike says that he has seen this used in Arcane on Netflix. Also, hi, Mercurial.
Wow.
But yeah, no, apparently, I guess in Arcane, they must have used something where they've been switching over with texture maps. And then I see that you have your screen shared. Is there something you want to show us today?
All right. We're not completely finished with Platoon 2.0, but just want to give you more information than on summer sale. And I have a few projects here just to scrub through. So this is the next step was to bring the displacement, make the displacement engine and the turbulence engine much more powerful. without losing all of these texture benefits we talked right before. So this, for example, is one thing which is in a few clicks possible in the next version. And I just pre-rendered that because we don't have so much time, a little render time it takes. But this is, as we told, this is the texture library. So here is your library. Here you have all your textures. And what we have new is we are displacing each pixel of your motion graphic, and we like some kind of shattering the pixels. And as you see, we have little dots here, but you can change your pixel shape to whatever shape you like. For example, if I use crosses, then I got a displacement with crosses. Sorry, I have to hide that layer first. Or I go over to whatever, clouds. And I can do this kind of thing. We just use that here. If you have a river, for example, and you'd like to have some fog on the ground, this is the picture without Platoon, and this is within. And you see a little movement here of the fog. And or do some smoky dust things. So this is, for example, Platoon. If I don't use the box blur. So this is how it looks like. We have as particles, we have this clouds. But if you, for example, just simply change the turbulence modifier, which is driving this, to, let's say, here, another frequency, you will see you have immediately a new formation of dust. Let me put on this box blur so you can see that it behaves another way. Or you simply swap or change the texture that drives the displacement, for example, to this, and you get a complete new result, which is still moving. So you can do very fancy stuff there. This is one thing. You simply can dissolve this bottle, for example. It's a PNG.
Wow.
And I simply drive Platoon from bottom to top, and you get this organic displacement. This is driven by a turbulence layer inside of Platoon. And
I want everyone to just look at the text on the label as he kind of pulls that apart, because it's not only just taking the map and just making things invisible and visible, but it's also actually warping what's underneath of it. So you can see that it naturally looks like it's actually dissolving, which is really neat.
Yeah, it dissolves each single pixel. If you zoom in, you can see it moves every single pixel and morphs it according to the turbulence layer. And in the new version of Platoon, here we go. This is the Platoon stack. We have another option to show the final renderer or the turbulence layer. Now you will see the turbulence layer that drives this. And if I change the turbulence layer, I also change the way it drives. But so I can figure out what is driving or how is the turbulence looking. And back to final render.
Spoken like a true guy that came from 3D is that you're like pulling, you're like, oh, you want to actually see what's underneath the hood? Yeah, you can also do that as well.
Yeah, it's easy to tweak things. If you like a special style, then you can tweak that, and you don't have to think about it. You can just see it and work on the fly on that. One thing I did was we're from Bavaria, so it's because of beer. You know, we did this LED simulation in the background. Just let me play that.
And while you're doing that, also, we had a question from Brandon in the chat that says, compatibility says 2020, but I assume it's good for 22, or are you releasing 2.0 for 22?
As you see, it's I'm running on 22. In our studio, we're working on 21 with this, but I have to test it on the latest version. As you see, we got this little, what do you call that? This little icon here. That means it's not multiprocessor available for now, but we're working on that. But it's running fine, so it's there's no problem. It works on 22, on 21, and on 20 also. So we tested on all of these versions. It's always fast. We completely redesigned the render engine. Toby did that. He completely redesigned the render engine to make it even faster than version 1.5.
Toby.
Yeah, he's brilliant. And he's from Germany. He's from Bavaria, so close ways, you know.
Oh, very cool.
And yeah, so this is also one thing. We share our logo into pieces. This is what is possible. We have this background here with organic displacements. And what I like is you have it pixel sharp. That means you only achieve this effects if you use particular whatever. You always have these particles. They're not 100% sharp. This is 100% sharp because you're moving each single pixel, and that makes it so unique, as I think. You see this footage here. You got this around here, this little dots. So this displacement is driven by the black and white image of the woman, and you got this dot holo effect, which is simply apply platoon, choose the layer as displacement layer, and here we go. Nothing to tweak. This is one thing we used in a project for a customer. So this is a wizard talking to a guy, and we'd like to have this nebula here going out there. This is platoon, and this is under the hood. It looks like this. So we have this. This is the platoon layer. And this is how it looks like. So you see all these particles, or not particles, pixels, sorry, all these pixels going on. And if you blur that, you got immediately that foggy look, and that looks quite amazing, as I think. And what else do we have? We have this thing done for a customer. It's simply some tile animation and this LED simulation in the background, also driven by Platoon. And if you don't like these blocks here, you simply change, for example, the texture to, let's say, this one here, and you got a complete new look of all of these things. And so, yeah, it depends on your creativity, how to use that and what to create with that. So, I mean, everything is texture driven, and everything is 100% flexible, and you can do really cool things. And just to showcase you, I don't know if we have much time, but I can showcase.
Yeah, we actually have to hop on over to Steve real quick. Okay. But the capabilities alone of Platoon are pretty endless. I know that Reverb was in here saying about how he could spend weeks playing with all the settings. And also, he just says that he would love to mess around with it, and that Video Copilot's heat distortion kind of does something like this, but this just takes it to the absolute next level. So if you want more flexibility and more control over what is exactly happening with the maps, this is really good to have.
And don't forget about that core functionality
yes.
of this like texture library in an effect. That's like huge.
May 1 second just apply. This is simply a text layer just to showcase the core thing. Lloyd's right. This is the core, the basic thing. It's just a simple text layer. You apply a Platoon to that. You have immediately the checker map. You have your texture map here. And let's go to, let's say, topical. Apply that map, and it's done. And you can lock that down, the pattern, and the pattern sticks to the layer. I mean, this is from my 3D workflow. I just apply a texture to whatever, and it stuck there, and we're done. So this is the core thing, of course.
Absolutely. Like I said, it's very evident that you come from a 3D background, and so many of these things translate so well into this motion in After Effects. And so it's really good to be able to make that leap. And we really appreciate it. So thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. And one last thing that will be available early 2020, so early next year. Lloyd, we have the final version, and before we go to public beta, I talked to Toby, and we will do a public beta.
Ah,
Awesome.
heck yeah, that's awesome.
To check everything.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And we will talk to you soon. Looking forward to seeing when it comes out, and best of luck wrapping it up for the end of the year and getting ready for the new launch.
Ryan, Lloyd, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
We'll
Talk to you soon.
Stay healthy.
Bye.
Bye.
Right.
A big hello to a bunch of people that came in while we were doing some demos. So hello to Umacorn and Steve and Bliss and CRT Studios. It's good to see you guys all again. We do have one more guest on today, which I'm really excited to bring in. He's a motion designer and creative coding enthusiast from Cape Town, South Africa. Although I think right before this, I think he was telling me that he just moved, so I don't know if he's still there or not. But I have Steve Lewis's reel, and I'm excited to go and pop it up so you guys can check out. And then we're going to look into both modec.io and Universal Audio. Universal Audio is one that I did not know about until I was prepping for this stream, and it's in my shopping cart. So I am really excited to show you guys and also to ask him questions, because I have a lot of questions that I want to ask him as well. So here's his reel.
Name, number.
Hey, Steve, how's it going?
How's it, guys? How's it going?
Welcome to the stream. You got a wide spread of styles in your reel, and I was really impressed by it. I saw some recognizable names, even like Coca-Cola in there. And then you also have like cool stylization of just lines, but it's not stick figures. So it's really cool to get to talk to you. How you doing?
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I'm just recently moved to the Netherlands, by the way, like last week, so that's a pretty new thing. A little bit of like an impromptu setup, so hopefully audio and everything's okay.
Yeah, no, I'm sure everyone's judging you on your background. That's what they'll all remember after all these cool little animation stuff. But yeah, so you've been doing motion design for quite some time now. You developed both Modec and Universal Audio. I'm going to go ahead and queue up the trailer for Modec, and then we can talk about that in just a second. All right, so I got to know, did you do all the development for this yourself?
Yeah.
Wow, that is impressive. That is not a small task.
Yeah, so it's quite an ambitious project. It involves like a desktop app, a web app, and a kind of backend server and everything. So I've been learning a lot of like kind of the whole full stack stuff. It sort of actually comes from I do a lot of work with agencies, kind of helping them like make pipelines and kind of automate stuff and make cool tools that they can use internally. And this kind of idea came from that world, and it was something that was always kind of floating around. And then I think I was like, I'm always kind of experimenting stuff. And I think I saw like some kind of forum post somewhere where someone mentioned how like with Mogit files, you can like unpack them. You can actually, that are kind of open source. And like when I saw that, I was like, that is exactly what I needed to like make this happen. Because the whole idea is it's like very easy to use. I've seen other kind of things where you kind of have all kinds of like naming conventions and layers and to kind of make that template like customizable online. But with Mogits, it's literally just export a Mogits, put into a into like a sync folder.
The simplicity of use is super important because it's one thing to convince a client to adapt to this new workflow and procedure that in the end benefits them. But you also don't want to have to go through this huge training process of being like, okay, if you want this to work to make it easier, you have to go through all these steps. So I think this is really good. We've been talking all week about revisions and working with clients because honestly, that's half the job. Reverb Mike is saying, why would I want my clients to have all the fun? Which is laughable.
Well, no, it's actually the opposite. The clients do the boring work. They like make sure the spelling of all the titles is correct. And this way, so when Adobe came out with this Mogert template, they really kind of, I think, intended it for an After Effects artist to pass it on to a Premiere Pro editor, and then the Premiere Pro editor could then update the titles themselves. But the person that really needs to update the titles is the producer or the client or the legal department, and none of those people have either After Effects or Premiere Pro. So what Modec allows you to do is actually just send them to a web page, and then they can update the Mogert there, and that's super powerful. You can also you can create any After Effects template and hook that up to a website so people can update your template on a website.
Yeah, the web integration is incredible.
Yeah.
One of the kind of fundamental ideas is that like a lot of times you're handing over like one video to the person. Like most of the time, that's what you do as a motion designer. You kind of hand over one video. Whereas with this, the idea is you can hand over like a template to a client and be like, you can now take this and run with it. So you can kind of give it to like your social media manager, and they can just, if you have like kind of ongoing content that you put up all the time, that's very like on brand animation stuff, they can just kind of roll out whatever stuff they want whenever they want it.
That's a great.
So is there a limit to how many people you can invite to contribute?
No, on enterprise accounts, there's no limit. You can have as many kind of moments as you want, as many people. You can generate links so people can just edit just off a link.
Yeah, and even with the free version, you can even invite you can send it off to somebody else too. It's not even like you're just checking it out for yourself. You can actually have it as a use case and you can check it out, which is really cool. And then $20 a month for Pro, just as itself, is like, if you think about how many different management softwares there are out there, that I've dealt with some ugly ones and ones that are not fun and ones that are essentially just uploading H.264s to a website, and then people click on it and they're like, I want this to be edited. And they're like $70 a month. The fact that these are actually ones that then can be brought into Excel sheets and that can then be natively just swept into After Effects is I mean, it's a game changer.
I mean, in a way, this lets you create your own service, right? So what you were saying, some service charges $80 a month, but this lets you be the service. You are actually the service. So that's really what's awesome about this.
Yeah,
go ahead.
There's a couple of clients that are using it for that, where they're like kind of almost opening up their own website where they can have like people come on there and kind of play around with their templates and maybe render out like some stuff with like watermarks on it, and then when they pay, they can like receive the actual kind of finished work. And I mean, there's a bunch of different uses for it. There's some people, I know there's like a real estate agency type place using it, where you can have like real estate agents who just want to kind of make these video listings using a template. They can literally like do it on their phone, so they can take out their phone, enter in the details about the thing, maybe take a video of the place, like upload that, and immediately in their inbox they get a video which is all kind of templatized and on brand.
That's awesome. I see here that Brandon over on YouTube is saying that the cost can easily be passed off to the clients and the value is through the roof. But I do want to take a moment to ask Lloyd how this works with the cyber sale and how this can be affected with the cyber code.
So so this is part of the sale. With recurring subscriptions. So you can buy the subscription in one of two ways. You can buy a recurring subscription, which means that you sign up either monthly or do we have an annual subscription on this, Steve? I believe we do, right?
Yeah, I think we do.
Yeah, so you sign up for the recurring, so either monthly or annually, and then it just automatically bills you every time. So with the cyber sale, the first installment, we'll say, would be discounted. So in case of an annual sale, you would get a 25% discount off the entire first year. Or you can buy what we call upfront subscriptions, which are not recurring, which means that after the whatever period that you buy is over, then nothing happens. So nothing will be charged. And that you can buy for any length of time that you want, and you can apply the 25% discount to that entire period. So you could buy it for any length that you want, and that's it. So that's how that works.
Thank you very much.
There's kind of a whole other extra part of this that we haven't spoken about, which is kind of data linking. So you can actually use spreadsheets. Like a client can jump onto the online editor and kind of upload a CSV file with spreadsheet, and they can basically hit render, and then it renders out like hundreds of videos if they want to. And something that's goes even further than that is API linking. So through the editor, you can link to like any kind of API, and then when you hit render, it will obviously pull the latest data from the API, plug it into your video, and then send you the video. You can
the beauty of automation with that is like there's so many things you can do.
I mean, you can even schedule renders with it now. So you can have it linked to an API, and you can have it scheduled to like render 12 o'clock every day. So it'll like maybe pull like the latest news down into a video. Then in your inbox, you'll receive like a video with the latest news and stuff. And you can change requests and all that kind of stuff.
That just gave me an idea, Steve. I don't know if you can do this, but if not, this is a good feature request to be able to trigger a render based on an API value event. So for example, if you connect to like the value of Bitcoin, and if Bitcoin goes over a certain threshold, it automatically triggers a render so that you can send out a congratulations, now you're a trillionaire video or something. You know what I mean?
I do actually have, I've actually got something like that in the kind of roadmap. I've been thinking of doing stuff like that.
That would be awesome, yeah.
You can also, with using data from like a JSON thing, you can, because with Modic, you can create sequences of Moget files. So with your video, you're basically assembling like a sequence of Mogets after each other, and you can you can deactivate or activate them based on data. So the whole structure of the video can change based on the data that's pulled down from an API.
Wow, the reaction area of it's amazing. So this is really good transition. Justin over on YouTube saying, can we see an example of this used live? And I see that you have your screen shared, so maybe you could walk us through a little bit of a demo.
Yeah, sure.
So this is just on app.modec.io, which is the web accessible version that is mentioned in the demo.
You can see that this is my sync folder. You would have the app running in your tray. I don't think you can see it on this side, but it pretty much runs. You can have it running at all times. It's kind of an interesting thing because it's not necessarily like an extension or a plugin. It's a standalone application that runs in your system tray, and that integrates with After Effects. So even if you're working in After Effects and stuff, it's not going to interrupt you or anything, and it's going to kind of do its thing, like assemble edits and stuff. And you have a sync folder where you basically just put Moget files. So you can see right here, I've got just 2 Mogets, which are like these guys. You can see it's text there, text B, some colors, and these are like kind of what we call Modic commands, which are like, it's like a comment. You add certain things in there, and it like defines certain things. Like this Moget will be duration, will have an editable duration. It'll overlap by 20 frames. All of that can be found in the documentation on the Modic guide. But you can see this is once it's online. This is those 2 Mogets I put in there. This is like a placeholder footage Moget, and this is like just really basic titles. You can see these all correspond to the options that are in After Effects. So it's all those same ones. And we can go and change like this.
And it's worth noting that you're just setting up a Moget in After Effects, And then besides those little special commands in each thing, there's nothing more to do, right, Steve?
Yeah, exactly. So you can pretty much just download any Mogit from like a template store and put it straight into your sync folder, and it'll work straight away. You don't have to do anything like special with it, but you can add those extra features of like the I think they listed here. Like, there's a whole bunch of them. It's kind of extra little things.
I also just put a link to what he has pulled up right here, the modec.io/docs, and you guys can check out there. It's very extensive. It has all the answers that you're looking for. Especially, you can also access it even before you purchase anything, and you can just see the capabilities and how much you can edit and what commands you can put in that are all on your side that the client doesn't have to see. So we were talking about accessibility and the idea of not wanting to confuse your clients. This is all stuff that you would learn, and then for them, they just get this awesome user interface online.
Yeah. So here's a quick example of using the API. So I've kind of just got this API that gets a random picture of a cat and there's random cat facts. I was thinking of using the Reddit API because that's just really simple, but I was kind of worried in the stream there'll be something, I don't know, offensive or weird on the front of Reddit. But so I just went with cats. So you can see if I hit like render here, it's going to pull from the facts about cats. And if I reload, it's going to pull it again, so we get a new fact. This is basically sending a request to the desktop app, and the desktop app is fetching the data from the API and pulling it into the template and sending us back this preview. We can also add in images. So you can see this, it's going to download the image on that side and send us the picture. And the cool thing is you can actually put in pretty much any kind of link. So you can see this gives us a URL to like a page, and if you like connect to the URL here, it's pretty much going to download that to the desktop and then plug it into the template and then send it back. You can even put in YouTube links and Instagram links, so it'll pull down videos from YouTube, from Instagram. So I mean, the way it works is once you've added these links here, you get like a little thing that appears next to all these options, and you can just like click on that and select whatever you want from that API. It'll pull in the data from the API. So you can go here and just select one of those. So I want that there, and we'll plug it in.
But yeah,
there we go.
Sorry, did you guys lose me?
Yeah.
No, you're good. You're good.
No, something happened, Ryan. We stopped hearing his audio.
Oh, I'm so sorry. No, it's really great to be able to walk through that web interface and see.
Wait, no, but
how
something happened, or was it just something that affected me? Were you able to finish the demo, Steve?
I'm not sure. I think I lost connection halfway through.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, let's check it out again.
Was interrupted. His audio got cut off.
Okay.
Oh, gotcha. All right. Well, then let's check out that section again with bringing it over to After Effects.
Cool. Yeah. So I was just talking about how you can link the API stuff to these options, and I was just saying how you can actually put in like YouTube links and Instagram links, anything like that, and it will basically pull down the YouTube video from the link that you put and bring it into your template. You can just see, like, if I look at the options here, when you add an API URL, this is like a link to like a JPEG file, and no matter like where that is, it'll basically find that, pull it down, put it into your template, and I'll send you the preview back here. yeah, and you can do some pretty cool stuff. You can even like kind of chain these requests. You can like plug in data from another API.
wow.
So you can take data from this one, plug it into this one, and so I can like plug in like that into here, and it kind of adds as like a little
wow.
like kind of template string thing there. So I mean, one example I use is you can have one API call that pulls down like a latest news article, and like another one that uses like AI to summarize that news article. So you can have like a summary of the latest news plugged into your video. You can even do like set up the request bodies, and you can plug in data into that and add headers and all that kind of stuff. So it gets pretty powerful. You can obviously the scheduling and stuff.
Yeah, scheduling is also really amazing, especially when we were talking about like different variables in the future on the roadmap of the idea of like having triggers that would then be able to then go and render something. I know you said it's something that's only in the roadmap; it's not there yet, but scheduling then those hand in hand would be really cool.
Yeah.
So great. And so there's one other one that I wanted to talk about that I voiced interest in myself because I saw it and I was checking it out. Universal Audio. Although I'm not really supposed to do audio in After Effects, it's something that we all end up doing. I do it way too frequently. And Universal Audio is a really cool way to be able to take that and make it a lot more accessible when you're jumping in between pre-comps. And I'll go ahead and play it out, and then you guys can see what I'm talking about. Finally, I've been wanting this feature for longer than I am willing to admit because I didn't put the effort into actually looking for a solution. But especially when I'm doing like sizzle reels for different clients and they have those big explosive things happening all over the place, you go in and you edit it and then you can't really have the beat. Then you put an audio track in there and then it doubles up. So then when you go back on the out, then all of a sudden there's really weird changes in volume. And this is a really nice solution to be able to hop in between pre-comps and actually hear the audio still.
Yeah, this was one of those tools that I was using for a really long time before I kind of made it public to the world. And I was always working on those kind of projects where you kind of have a VO and you have to time it, and you're always going like comps and comps and comps, and it's just like becomes a huge mission to try and like figure out what's being said at certain times. So you end up kind of placing markers, and it becomes this whole long thing. And it works on my philosophy of just like a one-click solution. So it's like one button, and you hit that, and it does what it needs to do.
And so, how does it work? Does it actually duplicate the layer source into the panel of layers, and then when you go to render, it just knows to delete it?
So it creates a comp, pulls the audio into that comp, and then like kind of like pushes that comp, like kind of branches it out through all the comps that exist in that comp. So it kind of like recursively like spreads it throughout your whole project. And then that exists as just one comp. So when you hit remove, it just kind of takes away that one comp.
And so then it knows to jump into all the different compositions that you have and then say, this is something that needs to be taken out, but that it will still keep the main source in the original one, right?
Well, by removing that single comp from the project panel, it disappears everywhere it existed. So it's kind of yeah.
Oh, cool. So then in that case, you would then duplicate the main source one that you want to leave in for when you render it out on the main comp, the top comp.
Yeah, something like that. Well, throughout it uses like guide layers, so it doesn't really affect anything.
Oh, very cool. So then it really is like weightless in the sense that it won't accidentally double up on things for you.
Yeah, it's kind of designed to be like just in the background.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put that link into both of the chats for you guys. Reaver Mike says, I can see the waveforms in all of the pre-comps, and I can see if they line up or not. And is that within using the tool, Mike, you mean? Or does that mean something that you're just switching out for yourself?
So a layer basically appears in all the different comps. So it's like a universal audio layer which has the audio in it. You just like toggle that open and you can see the audio and you can sound to it.
Oh, that's fantastic. And guys, it is so cheap. It is only $9.99, and that is before you get any sort of discount. We've been talking about it all over the place, but make sure you use the code CYBER for 25% off.
Huge savings.
So it's really great. Well, thank you for walking us through Modec. Thank you for walking us through Universal Audio. We're really excited to see what comes next. I know you said you were working on a roadmap for enhancing Modec. There's a lot of different Modec functionality throughout AScript. So when you guys hop onto Steve's profile, make sure you click around and see what's up.
I'm constantly expanding Modec, so I'm taking like feature requests and I'm kind of like it's like ever growing.
Absolutely. Well, cool. Thank you so much. I put your AEscripts author page in the link, but where can we find you on Twitter or Instagram or Behance or what have you?
Modec has like a Facebook page and Twitter page. I think it's just modec.io.
Perfect.
Yeah, and
that's where you can get a lot of updates. Obviously, it comes also with what I'm about to show everyone, but
yeah,
you can follow that for more updates.
Also on the site, if you go to modec.io, you can sign up to the mailing list, and that's kind of where I send a lot of updates and stuff.
Oh, brilliant. Well, thank you so much. We look forward to hearing more in the coming months as you continue to work on it. And congratulations. It looks awesome. Good luck on the move. And we hope to talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve.
All right. So that's everybody that we have scheduled for today. We will be back again tomorrow for the last and final day of the Cyber Week sale. We have Streamline, Sihan, and Ahmed Studios coming on to talk about a bunch of different awesome products. We'll also be highlighting a few of people that are not on. Before we say goodbye, I did want to touch really briefly on the AEscripts plugin manager, which we like to highlight. And also, I wanted to also highlight the idea. You heard a lot of the developers and creators today talk about listening to feedback and making changes to the programs based off of what people actually need and want from the programs. If you go on over to aescripts.com and you go to the support section, you'll be able to go and go to contact, and you can type in, we'll say MoGraph, IO, and it's not listening to me because I'm weird.
That's just if you have problems. So
that's just if you have problems. That's not just feedback.
Well, okay. So when you enter and they maybe help you, what it does is it searches the knowledge base, the FAQs, to see if there's a word trigger.
That makes sense.
And then if you get no results, then you say, oh, okay, no thanks. I'd like to open a support ticket. And then this is now, here's where you can
go and you can pick
basically when you select a product there, that's where you would find Modec.
Modec. I don't know why I'm saying MoGraph.
So there you pick any of those. Yeah, and so now here you can write sweet nothings to Steve, and they will go directly to him.
And then you'll be able to get in contact. And so this is a really easy way to both get customer support for if things are popping up, and also if you want to get in contact in any way, this is a really good way to get in touch with all the developers. And then, of course, you also want to touch on the plugins manager. This is a really easy way to download, uninstall, check up on your licenses, especially when you like update Adobe programs. Sometimes they don't make the jump because Adobe changes their way of handling it. So a lot of times I'll go in and I'll click uninstall and reinstall, and then license, you go in and it'll say that I already have it, deactivate it or activate it. You can do more than one at a time too. And then, as Lloyd was pointing out earlier this week, there's also a new section for trials where everything on the site has a trial, and you can go in and they can be separate.
Under so account. It's under the account menu. So once you add a trial, it shows up there, but there you would go under account, add trial. There you go.
Bada bing, bada boom. And that actually even has the ones that'll pop up, and you can search for it as you wish.
Every product that's available on the site that has a trial, and you can just add it directly.
Which is great. So, well, thank you guys again for being a part of the stream. A big thanks to everyone that tuned in today, and thanks to Steve, to Oliver, to Daniel, to Brenton. It was really great having you guys. Thank you to everyone that said hello in the chat. There's a lot of you, so I'm not going to roll through everyone's names, but it was a pleasure having everybody, and it was really good having you back, Lloyd. It was a little lonely yesterday, but we made it work.
I heard the ship was a little the rough seas a little bit, but
little rough seas. But we powered through and we got here.
Like
you're our good luck
captain. You navigated the storm.
So,
all right, we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much.
We'll see you guys all tomorrow. Thank you again, and take care.